Have you ever wondered if it's possible to fairly judge your own actions and choices? Adam Smith created the idea of the Impartial Spectator, a mental tool that works like an invisible internal moral compass to help us figure out what's right and wrong. Could this be the breakthrough we need to judge right from wrong more objectively? This video will walk you through each stage of Adam Smith's Impartial Spectator. After finishing the video, you'll have a tool to more fairly judge your own behavior. To bring the Impartial Spectator to life, we took a what would you do scenario to the streets of New York City.
What kinds of things might you do if you had the power of invisibility?
I ain't getting caught, baby. I'm taking that money.
Adam Smith is famous as the father of capitalist economics, but he has a deep background in philosophy. In his book, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, Smith introduces the idea of the impartial spectator. To illustrate this idea, Smith uses the metaphor of the man within the breast. Picture an invisible judge in your heart that watches all of your thoughts and feelings. This judge helps you decide if what you're doing is right or wrong by considering everything from a neutral point of view. This man, or person, helps you see your actions from an outside perspective, making it easier to understand if you're doing the right thing. There are different levels of wisdom, with different persons in the breast showing different levels of wisdom and virtue. To bring the Impartial Spectator to life, we took a what would you do scenario called the Ring of Gyges to the streets of New York City, and asked ordinary people what they would do in that situation. Little did they know that this thought experiment gives us a glimpse into a person's conscience, and we've ranked their answers within the man in the breast scale. Now, let's play the tape of the Ring of Gyges setup.
Let's say you're walking down the street here in the city and something shiny on the sidewalk catches your eye. It's a beautiful gold ring. Out of curiosity, you pick up this ring, slip it on your finger, and discover that when you turn it around, you become invisible. What kinds of things would you do when you become invisible?
Hold up. Before we dive into what people on the streets had to say, what's your take on the question? If you had the power of invisibility, what would you do? Drop your answer in the comments below and stay tuned to see which category your response falls into. Okay, now let's hear what New Yorkers would do if no one were watching. The first category is self-interest.
What kinds of things would you do when you become invisible?
Honestly, I would go into a bank without anyone noticing, just grab the cash and just kind of dip, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, I would totally do that. Probably like punch someone I don't really like and like just horrify and terrify them for the rest of their life.
Get a little revenge?
A little revenge, yeah.
Yeah.
I won't go that far, but nah, I would. But realistically, I think I would just like steal money.
So thus far, it sounds like you're admitting that the invisibility would tempt you to maybe do bad things, quote unquote bad things,
Yeah.
that you otherwise wouldn't do. Would you think you might also be tempted to do good things?
Honestly, all I could think is bad things.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great example of somebody who's speaking in terms of their own self-interest, right? So what's interesting to me is that although he's focused on self-interest primarily, he's also focused a lot on satisfying his basic needs through the mechanism of money. So he wants to get money, he wants to get food. He did say something about punching somebody he didn't like, but I took that as mostly a joke. You see here with this example the way that the prospect of invisibility tempts people to do bad things, which he admits at the end. So it is very much a question of temptation here. The second category is for a person who can serve as a role model. An example of a stage 2 response in this scenario would be considering how your role model would handle it. So picture this: if Gandhi, Genghis Khan, or even Dolly Parton were watching you, what would they think of your thoughts and actions? If you had to pick a role model to guide your actions, who would it be? Let us know in the comments. The third stage is for the superheroes.
What kinds of things would you do if you were invisible?
I don't know how I could go superhero mode with that, but try to create some good with it. I don't know. You have any ideas?
So you could, we could go full Robin Hood with it and say...
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Going superhero mode with it. More like, doing good for the public.
Yes.
I think there's a lot you can do.
The lesson from this stage is, what would Spider-Man, Captain America, or Wolverine do here? How can I act like the superhero I admire? The fourth and final stage is God tier.
Can you think of ways that you could do good things?
I would go to grocery stores and get like a ton of food. Like give like homeless people food, clothing, and just everything they need, because I mean our society doesn't already do that for them. So why not be that person to do it?
Very noble. Steal from the rich, give to the poor.
Literally.
This perspective indicates an impartial spectator that's been internalized by this individual with the point of view of doing what's best for the most people possible, which is not meant to sound necessarily utilitarian, but more an orientation towards goodwill toward all. This perspective is really impressive to me because without reference to any other figure or really even to a moral principle, she intuitively grasps the injustice of the existing system and the way in which her access to the power of invisibility could counteract that injustice. So, to recap, from someone only caring about themselves to the kindness of a god, we've seen different role models, or men in the breast, that you can look up to. Adam Smith's Impartial Spectator is like a ladder of virtue and wisdom, with these role models inside you, judging your actions. The higher you climb this ladder, the more people benefit from your actions. So, here's the tool to keep in your mental back pocket. Next time you have a questionable idea, think about what Buddha, Jesus, Socrates, or the Batman might do. Made it to the end? Amazing! Check out the Ring of Gyges montage edit for more takes on this thought experiment. Or you might fancy another thought experiment from this playlist. And of course, please subscribe for more Street Philosophy TV.